show picture. I spoke to you last week, I believe.
Yeah. Kirk on. Okay. Hi, Kirk. How you doing?
All right, how are you?
Okay. I like the way she says that. It's Marie. Get that right.
Yeah,
you can call me whatever you want, though. Don't worry about it.
Maria?
Maria's fine. Whatever you like.
I'll call you Marie.
Okay. How you doing?
I'll call you George.
No, all right. Call me George.
No,
Call me Sandy.
I'll call you Marie.
How you doing there?
Okay, how are you?
Good. Congratulations on this album.
Thank you.
I can't believe the way it's taken off.
Yeah, it's quite surprising.
Yeah. How did this happen?
Pardon?
How did this happen?
You tell me. I mean, we just write the songs and play them, okay?
That's great. Now, you know what? Because before it even entered the charts, I was talking to James, and I had mentioned to him. I said that one of the critics had said this album is either going to make or break Metallica, and I think that it's great that it's making you guys.
Yeah.
Not that you weren't made before, but it's like really brought you out in the limelight.
Yeah, it's opening it up for us.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll have enough money to buy more guitars.
Just what you need, right?
I'm waiting to start my Flying V collection.
Oh, are you?
Yeah.
Well, you have one already, don't you?
Yeah.
What do you have?
A 74.
A 74?
Yeah, a black 74 Gibson V.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I want to get a medallion V.
Sounds nice. Well, now you may be able to afford it. But you know what happens is, like, once you get big, it doesn't matter because those people will give it to you free.
Yeah.
It's a no-win. Like, ahead, what?
Well, but when you get too many guitars, you kind of like, I don't know. Well, I mean, with me, like, I always end up going back to the same ones. I only have 4 guitars now, and like, at one point, I kept on going back to my Gibson, but now I have I have the Gibson and 3 different guitars, and like, now I kind of like they all have like different. There's different reasons why I play them.
Right. But the Gibson
because that's a part. The Jackson because it just feels good to play, and that sort of thing.
But the Gibson remains your favorite, though.
Oh yeah, I mean, so much that I didn't bring it out on tour with me because it's like road worn.
Oh really?
From the past 2.5 years.
Oh wow. Does that make you still can play it with the same?
I can still play it. I can play it in the studio. It's just that it didn't do very well holding up on tour, and now like it's a glued-on neck, right? And the glue is like not as strong as it used to be.
Oh, I see.
And so like if I make a 180 turn, you can hear it. And
oh no.
Pitch.
That's funny. It must be funny because it's like when the guitar goes, I mean, you're gonna have to part with something that's so precious.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But it's in a safe place. It's at home in my closet.
Oh, that's good. Oh, good. Yeah, when I talked to James, you got him and Lars were moving from, I guess, their place to another place, or they were storing their stuff in a warehouse because you guys were going to go on tour. So, like, there was no point to keep an apartment and stuff. Are you living at home still, or are you?
Yeah, I still live at home.
Yeah.
Mainly because when I mean, there's no reason for me to get a place because I'm never home at all.
Yeah.
And when I am at home, it's for a short while.
Right.
And I don't trust anyone with my. I'm a huge collector of a lot of things, and I don't trust anyone with except my mom to watch over my stuff.
Right. Right. Okay. Listen. Basically, it's funny because, like, I was reading a lot of your stories on Metallica and stuff like that. And it seems like, basically you're a bunch of, like, down-to-earth, hard-rocking players.
You can say that.
That seem to want to prove a musical point and prove that you don't have to dress up to play the part and that your music speaks for itself.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so how did you get to that point? And, is it easy to be that way?
Well, see, it was very natural for us. I mean, when all 4 of us came together, we had a mutual, how should I say, we just had a mutual feeling. It was a mutual feeling. None of us had a terrible liking for, flashiness or that sort of cosmetic approach, And, like, we were really into the music, all 4 of us. And we really didn't plan our so-called image now. That wasn't ever planned, and we just remained the same people we always were. And even on stage, we we were pretty much the same, same people as we were off stage.
Mhm.
And it isn't difficult at all for us because it's what we are naturally.
Right.
Off stage.
Mhm.
And we we all had mutual sights on keeping that in mind, keeping that honesty.
Mhm.
I mean, come on, you know, we want the music to come across, and
Right.
not the fact that we can afford real nice clothes or anything like that.
Right, right. But it almost seems like, image, the lack of the image is also an image.
That's what other people say. That's something we haven't really bothered with. We
Right.
let other people call it that.
Right, right. But it's still, I think it's great, too, because it doesn't take away
No.
or distract.
Well, it's because we focus on the music, and we push the music out front.
Mhm. When you guys first met, when you were saying that you all had like a mutual feeling, how did you? First of all, had you hooked up with them? You had been in the band previous to them, right? And how did you audition for them and stuff? How did they find out about you?
Well, okay. What happened was they were having some trouble with their old guitar player, and they had they had a sound man that used to work for my previous band, Exodus. And his name is Mark Whitaker, and he's now a producer, independent producer. And they went out to New York and had these problems with the guitar player. So Mark suggested that, hey, maybe you should try out this guy who's in Exodus, who I used to work for, and Mark had some tapes of me with Exodus, and they listened to it, and evidently they gave Mark the go ahead to give me a ring one day, and asked me if I'd be interested in flying out to New York and trying out for the band. And I thought, well, sure, things weren't really that happening when I was with Exodus at that point of their career. I mean, they're doing well now. I thought, why not? I'll go out there. And now that I look back at it, it's a pretty brave thing to do, because to get like all my equipment on a plane and fly out there.
Weren't you nervous?
Oh yeah, I was very nervous. It was like taking a huge chance. And like when I got there, the guys were just waking up, and we were in this rehearsal space, this rundown business building. And I was going, God, what have I gotten myself into now?
Oh my God, you must have wanted to turn around and get back on the plane.
Well, I mean, I just confronted it, and these guys were just waking up, and it was like 9 o'clock at night.
Oh my God.
And I was all jet lagged, and so I go, hi, I'm Kirk, blah 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 blah, and so we got to jamming, and I'd learned the songs before I came out there. So we started playing a couple songs, and Lars and James kept on looking at each other like I didn't know what was going on. So I just shut up and like tried to play, to the best of my ability. And they said, well, we got a gig Friday, and then we got gigs here and there and there and there. And I go, okay, cool. I played the gigs and stuff, and like about 2 weeks later, they go, okay, we're gonna go into the studio. I'm like, fine.
2 weeks later, they're going to the studio?
Well, like
Wow.
a short time. I'm not sure if it's 2 weeks. I can't really remember. But a short time later, it was like, okay, now we're going into the studio, and blah blah blah.
Did that feeling of like skepticism though go away when you were playing the gigs? Like, what was it like to?
No, because like I still had,
Doubts?
I still had that feeling of skepticism, but I just stuck to play, playing my best, and like things just evolved out of that. And
how did you adapt in terms of how did you play differently from Exodus and then Metallica?
Well, their styles are similar in certain ways, but not similar in other ways. And in the ways that Exodus is not similar to Metallica were to my advantage, because I was more of a melodic player, and it was a good contrast to Metallica's sound, because at the time we were playing like 8 songs, super fast.
Mhm.
And we're just playing a lot of fast material, not 8 songs.
Mhm.
So like we're just playing a lot of fast material back then, and the melodic approach to playing guitar fit in well with the fast stuff.
Mhm.
I mean, if I was like a super fast guitar player
Mhm.
playing in a super fast band, it wouldn't have any contrast or color.
Right.
And like it just fit
Mhm.
better
Mhm.
when I joined Metallica and played with them. I didn't really have to change my style that much. It was just more suited to the Metallica sound.
So you felt more comfortable?
Yeah, instantly more
Mhm.
comfortable, which is really strange because I started Exodus and I played for Exodus for 2 years, and I thought, you know, this is you know this is my home. And then to go outside of that and join Metallica and find out that I was more suited to Metallica was really, I mean, it was a revelation.
Right. I can imagine. It must have been great. What?
Yeah, it was really cool, and like, you know, obviously things have worked out
Right. Right.
for the better.
Right. What about in terms of like, I always feel like a person's past is what makes you as good or as bad as you are.
Karma. Is that what you're trying to say?
What I'm saying is like, yeah, karma and just what you've experienced, you know, in your life.
Well, yeah, trial and error, yeah.
Yeah, trial and error. Like, what do you think about your past has helped you to be as comfortable as good, or as good as you are, you know, with Metallica? And what do you think makes it work? If any of that, you know.
I'm not, I don't really understand what you're trying to say.
What I'm saying is like experiences, like, did you have any bad experiences that you were able to bring into Metallica that helped you, you know, just, you know, learn?
What, from when I was in Exodus?
Right.
Okay, let me think about this one. Bad experiences,
I mean, I'm sure it wasn't smooth riding all along.
pardon?
It wasn't smooth riding all along.
No, it wasn't. Well,
How long were you with them for?
who?
With Exodus?
I was with Exodus for 2 years.
Oh,
and I was
okay.
with Metallica for 3 years.
Right.
Well, I mean, it was at a really different level. I mean, God, I'm stumped at that one.
Are you stuck? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, well, there's a professional attitude.
Mhm.
Okay, here you go.
Okay.
A professional attitude. I'm with Exodus. I was at home
Uh-huh.
with them, you know, and I felt, you know, at home and
Right.
almost complacent about, you know, professional
Mhm.
attitude and
Mhm.
such. But when I joined Metallica, we were all of a sudden like thrown into the real entertainment world. You know,
Mhm.
this is the real entertainment world. This is
You had to attain a professional attitude?
yeah. It's like overnight I had to like get an attitude, like
Mhm.
a professional attitude towards everything
Right.
that I didn't have with Exodus, and
Mhm.
like
So how did you get that? How did you reach for that?
I just God knows where I got it from.
I mean, did you talk to James and Lars and those other guys?
Well, I just we all kind of learned together
Mhm.
because they came out of the same sort of atmosphere as
Mhm.
I did. They were just like, but you know, they're obviously going places.
Right.
What, I'm getting all jumbled in my words here.
No. I understand what you're saying.
But it's just I had to attain a business-like
Attitude. Right.
professional attitude
Right.
quickly, and I think
Did it get in your way of your playing at all, or no?
no, it never did.
Mhm. That's
It
good.
just drove me to maintain a certain level of consistency in my playing.
Right.
Every night had to be good. I had to like put on a good show and,
Right.
and deliver, you know, a certain amount of musical, you know,
Right.
delivery.
Wasn't that pressure though too? By the same
Yeah,
time?
but you know, it depends on the person. You can use pressure in a good way.
Mhm.
You can use it in a real positive way,
Mhm.
instead of channeling it in a self-destructive sort of like falling apart
Mhm.
sort of way. You can apply it to where either either it's all or nothing
Right.
sort of attitude.
Right. That's good that you're able to do that then.
Yeah.
You know, and attain that. Did you start out wanting to be a lead guitarist?
Yeah.
Yeah? I mean, what is it that influenced you, and when did you start out? Just give me a little history on yourself.
Okay, I started listening to like heavy music a real long time ago. I had an older brother who was really into Hendrix
Mm-hmm.
and Santana and Led Zeppelin
Oh, really?
in the late 60s. Yeah, I grew up in SF, San Francisco area while that entire hippie thing came out, you know, the Haight-Ashbury Summer of Love sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I was really young, and I was exposed to a lot of music back then because of my brother and my cousins, my older cousins.
Right.
And, you know, I grew out of that, and my brother left home, blah, 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 blah.
Uh-huh.
And in 1976, I started getting back into listening to heavy music again after listening to, like, you know, regular pop stations and
Right.
like when I started getting older, I heard stuff like Hendrix and Zeppelin, and I thought to myself, wait a second, I was listening to this when I was real young, and then it came to the point where, you know, I was like really into Jimi Hendrix, and then Kiss came out, and I loved Ace Frehley, and I loved Kiss, and that's when the air guitar thing started
happening.
I picked up a tennis racket or anything that I could like remotely imagine
Resemble.
with a guitar and
Right.
started playing air guitar.
Uh-huh. Any contest in your high school?
Huh?
Any contests in your high
No,
school?
this is like before the term air guitar was actually
Oh, really?
hanging out. Yeah, this is like 76.
Uh-huh.
How many air guitar contests were you aware of? But anyway,
Good.
so,
But were you listening to them for their guitar abilities or just for the overall musical sound?
yeah, musical sound, you know.
Because you weren't playing.
Heavy sound, heavy stuff back then, you know, Kiss Alive, the first live album was like pretty heavy back then. And like I loved the lead guitar stuff. And so I traded my first guitar I got my first guitar by trading a friend, and it was it was for a Kiss album, $10.
Really?
Yeah, I got my first guitar as like some cheap Sears catalog kind of.
What kind of guitar was it? Was it like an acoustic guitar?
It was an electric.
An electric? Okay.
Yeah. And that's how I just started. I just got a book on you know, improvising rock guitar or whatever it was, and I learned out of that. And I had a neighbor across the street who played guitar, and she showed me a bunch of stuff.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she showed me how to play a bunch of folk stuff, and like that I just took it from there. And then I got really into UFO at a certain point, and Aerosmith and Thin Lizzy, and that led to the new wave of British heavy metal and like, you know, that sort of thing. You know, I got into Deep Purple and such, and that's listening to UFO a lot inspired me to buy a Flying V because I was really into Michael Schenker.
And did you listen, like, when you went back and listened, like, to Jimi Hendrix or your favorites, now that you were getting more familiar with the guitar, was it like you almost wanted to be like them? Like, what went through your mind? Were you more determined than ever?
Back then or now?
Yeah, back then.
Oh yeah, I wanted to be the next Hendrix.
Did you? How far have you come?
I still got another 100 years to go, I think.
Let's hope we don't end up in the same way here.
No, definitely. But, I mean, I've just rediscovered Hendrix as of 2 weeks ago.
Really?
Yeah.
You mean you left it?
Now I can understand what Hendrix is coming from. I mean, a lot more clearly than I ever have.
What is it that's made you see it more clearly?
Well, it's just, you know, I'm just more knowledgeable about guitar theory and theory in general, and like songwriting, and just, you know, just having that much more musical knowledge behind me makes me understand a lot of this stuff nowadays, you know, more clearly. Like, I used to listen to a lot of Jeff Beck, you know, stuff like Wired and Blow by Blow.
Mhm.
And I stopped for a while, and then I just started listening to it recently, and like, I could tell by listening, like, hey, he's playing,
Right.
he's, like, major, major modes, and he's
Right.
playing Mixolydian and stuff like that.
Isn't it amazing the way you've come such a long way then?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But by the same token, being, listening to it with such like a detailed ear, does that take away the enjoyment of it, or does it make it more enjoyable for you?
Well, actually,
When you start like breaking it apart.
Like if you sit there and really analyze it, you'll really analyze it. But if you like just kick back, on bed,
Mhm.
and like just listen to it and relax, you'll get the musical
Mhm.
enjoyment out of it.
Right. What Jimi Hendrix LP did you like? Is there anyone in particular?
I recently picked up the Essential Jimi Hendrix.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Great stuff. Oh
Really?
my God.
Is it? What do you like about it especially?
Pardon?
Is there anything in particular that you like about it? Everything?
The one thing in particular I like about that album is everything.
Is everything? That's good. I like that. So you look at him for inspiration, then? Really?
More recently, yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
I've been into like Ulrich Roth too over the past few years.
Mhm.
His work with arpeggios
Mhm.
and like sticking really closely to the rhythm
Mhm.
rhythm guitar chords. It's like a huge influence. Like say the song is in E minor, and like Ulrich would play
Mhm.
E minor arpeggios over the entire courses of the solo,
Mhm.
and like just make various variations
Mhm.
of that arpeggio
Right.
all over the place, and
Right.
it'd be the most musically exact and the most tight sounding,
Mhm.
and like the feeling would come through the most with that approach to the music, and like his tone and his phrasing are really influenced me a lot too.
Mhm. That's great.
And he can say a lot with a real small amount of notes.
Mhm. Do you feel that some people nowadays say too much?
Not really say too much, just
Say
play
don't
too much.
Play too much.
Yeah.
How can you prevent that? Like, what's it like? Do you feel that you have to control yourself?
Well, you just have to.
Is it a mental attitude or is it a physical?
Well, it's both.
Mhm.
It depends. A lot of it depends on the context of the song,
Mhm.
because a real fast solo goes real good against a normal 4/4 beat. Let's face it. But sometimes through a real like a song that has double time,
Right.
a slow dynamic solo gets the point across.
Right. Right.
It's just texture.
Mhm.
A lot of it has to do with texture, and phrasing is real important too.
Mhm.
Working closely with the rhythm of the song is really important, and I think that a lot of my phrasing comes from listening to people like Jimmy Page back then,
Mhm.
and like Jeff Beck back then, and Hendrix, who were like initially, blues guitar players that electrified everything.
Mhm.
And a lot of my phrasing goes from listening to blues when I was playing, when I first started playing.
Mhm. So you feel like blues is almost not necessary, but like it's the base for rock.
Well, it was a basis for me,
Mhm.
because I was listening to people who I admired, and like I read a lot of interviews, and they said that they were blues players,
Mhm.
and and like I think I was just like I don't know how many generations you can call that now. I'm like fifth or sixth generation, but like I took that sort of approach that they had, which is basically electrifying the blues into like rock and roll, and I took that and like heavy metalized it.
Right. You're still taking guitar lessons too, aren't you, from Joe Satriani, or no?
Joe's now in the Great Kin Band.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know. So he's not teaching anymore?
No, and he is a brilliant guitar player. How did you know about this?
Just somebody mentioned it. I must have read it, or somebody mentioned it to me. Because, I don't know, this guitar player named Maxine Petrucci, I don't know if she's a female guitar player who's working with Steve Vai now. And Steve Vai had given her a tape of Joe Satriani. to listen to as sort of like to get some, musical knowledge and learn something. And somebody said that you had also gotten guitar lessons from him as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, so are you taking any now from anybody else or no?
No, I haven't found a teacher as good as Joe.
Do you feel that it's still important at this point in your
Oh yeah,
playing?
you can never stop learning.
Mm-hmm.
That's one thing that's most important, is that there's never enough knowledge about music that you can learn.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can't, it's simply impossible, I feel, to learn it all about music.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's so varied, and it's such a huge thing.
Mm-hmm. So do you think it's important to also get those lessons from other people as compared to yourself or albums?
Well, I mean, just keep on learning through any way,
Mm-hmm.
any source
Right.
you can. I think it's real important.
Right. What about practicing for you, Kirk? Like how
I
important
practice a lot.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Like what's your week run like?
Well, I practice every day.
You practice every day?
Yeah.
For like, is there like a set time?
Well, like I try. Well, when we're on tour, I try to get anywhere between an hour to hour and a half before we get on stage.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah.
Do you do any guitar warm-ups or anything in particular?
Yeah, I have exercises. I do like chromatic scales. I run through all the major and minor scales,
Mm-hmm.
the modes,
Mm-hmm.
arpeggios,
Mm-hmm.
and like 3-octave scales.
Right.
And stuff like that, just to warm up.
Mm-hmm.
And it warms. It's good because it warms me up quick.
Right. As compared to?
As compared to not doing that and having
Right.
to like play the same old licks, and getting,
Right. Right.
and getting stuck on the same riff.
Right. Right.
That really gets to be a problem, I think, after a while. I mean,
Mhm.
after you've been playing guitar for
Yeah. How do you stop it from
a
becoming?
while,
Yeah.
it's very easy to get stuck in riffs. And one way out of that is just listen to other guitar players and other different types of music.
Mm-hmm. More importantly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
More importantly, other types of music.
Just, I guess, just to keep yourself fresh.
Yeah, to have it, to get, different kinds of ideas.
Right. Right. Let me ask you, do you feel more comfortable playing on stage or in the studio?
Definitely on stage. Well, they're really different.
Are they really
They're
different?
two different things. I mean, let's face it, you're under the gun in the studio. You know,
Right.
you got that tape rolling, and it's either perfect or it's non-existent.
There's no in between.
Yeah.
Right.
And when it comes to being in the studio, it just has to be perfect.
Right.
It has to be there, or else it'll never be there.
Mhm.
And like playing live, it's fun.
Mhm.
You're out there, you want to like have a good time on stage.
Right.
You want to, show the audience what the band's about. You know, and like, you get animalistic and.
And if you make a mistake, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter.
Mhm.
You get animalistic about things, and like you get aggressive, and you like want to just. I hate this term. Rock out.
Mhm.
It seems to work.
A cliche, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I hate that.
Yeah. How does Metallica, like you said before, how does Metallica show the audience what it's about? Is there something that you go through or something that, you think about?
Well, I mean, I'm sure you know this. The best way for Metallica to tell any audience about what Metallica is about is to just listen to the music.
Right.
Because that's all we are about, is just
Mhm.
the music.
Mhm.
I mean, the music is the thing that is Metallica. Metallica is the music.
Right, right.
More so than Metallica, the band, or Metallica, the band members. Metallica, the music. Metallica music.
Right. They go together.
Is what Metallica is all about.
Right.
And in our set live, we try to give people a variety of styles that are like metallic, a variety of styles that are Metallica music.
Mhm.
Like we play some fast stuff, which we're known for, and then we play some like mid-tempo stuff that that we're good at, and then we play ballads too.
Right.
And like it's
You don't categorize.
yeah, it's self-explanatory too. It shows people that we can do this, we can do this, and while you're grooving on this, we can also do this,
Right.
slap them with a ballad.
Right. What do you feel more comfortable in, and where do you feel you're at your best, though, in what category?
Of what?
I mean, the up-tempo, mid-tempo, or the ballad?
I'd say I'm, well, there's no real specialty,
Mm-hmm.
It's the feelings there.
Mm-hmm. Throughout the whole thing?
Yeah, the thing about Metallica is that the songs are real consistent,
Mm-hmm.
in that they all are like miniature novels. That's the best way I could put it, because each song is like completely different from the other song.
Mm-hmm.
And like I would just specialize in the Metallica sound.
Mm-hmm.
We're all, I would say that we're all good at what we do.
Mm-hmm.
And each member is good at what he does
Right.
in the context of the group.
And it works out.
And it works out like a charm.
Mm-hmm. What about your own like strengths or weaknesses as a guitarist? Is there anything that you wish you could be better at but you aren't?
I wish that I was more varied in my styles. If I had the time, I'd like to get into classical guitar a bit deeper.
Mm-hmm.
But one thing I see now in heavy metal guitar players is that it's real trendy to love Bach and Paganini.
Yngwie Malmsteen.
Yeah, yeah. But I mean, but there's nothing wrong with that.
Right, right.
But like, I wish I had the time to do that.
Mm-hmm.
I really don't at this moment, because
Mm-hmm. And so maybe you have time to do anything now. I can imagine that you guys must be doing a lot, with this tour and stuff.
Yeah,
like
we're really busy.
Mm-hmm.
And let's see. I just wish that I could be more varied in my styles.
Mm-hmm.
Because I know a couple bluegrass guitar players that are really, really, really good guitar players.
Mm-hmm. Good people, friends of you?
Yeah, friends of mine in the Bay Area, and like listening to them is like inspiring.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you think you'll ever have time to pick it up, though?
Maybe, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to sometime go to college and study.
Did you ever go to college or no?
I did, but I didn't study music.
Right. What'd you study?
Just let's see, psychology.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I started out in psychology
Art.
too. It's boring.
Yeah, psychology, art.
Uh-huh.
I just like.
Did you go to a local school?
Yeah, it's a junior college.
Mm-hmm. Right. What a difference this life is, right?
Oh yeah. It was inevitable.
Yeah, I can imagine your parents saying over your head, "Come on, you got to go to school."
Yeah, exactly.
What about like your desire to be more, stylistic in the classical sense? Like, how would that fit into the Metallica sound?
No telling.
No telling.
No telling whatsoever, because we.
It could expand.
No telling.
Yeah, you never know.
We're unpredictable.
Right. Is that good or bad?
I could not even speculate on our future.
Right.
I could not even begin to speculate on how our fourth album would
Yeah.
sound.
Well, they say the future is unreal, so.
Yeah, exactly.
Until it happens. What about one of the things that James mentioned is that the band, sometimes what he can't stand is that it takes a long time, like, to write songs. Like, as a guitarist, does that affect you at all?
Well, it's just that we have a real high level of what should I say?
Let's talk about it takes a long time to.
Well, it just when we don't like something, what's the term?
Like finicky, almost.
Well, we're real cynical. Well, not cynical. We have a high level of like if something doesn't work,
Yeah.
We have a real high standard.
Okay.
We have really high standards.
Uh-huh.
Like, and if something doesn't work, we just give it the boot instantly.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like later on.
Yeah, but who decides on that? Like,
It speaks for itself.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we can just feel it.
Mm-hmm.
If it doesn't work out, just say later on.
Mm-hmm. God, that's great. Do you all get together and write, or do you just like exchange tapes and stuff? What do you?
Yeah, well, there's a number of ways we do it. Like when we're on tour, me and James jam in the dressing room, while warming up, and like he'll come up with a riff and show it to me, and we'll jam on it. And like I'll come up with a riff and show it to him, we'll jam on it. And a lot of those riffs end up on the album that way.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and then we exchange tapes too.
Right, I see. That's great. What about guitar solos? Like, what role do they play in Metallica, and do you feel that, they're just enough?
Well, to me, it has to fit the song. It has to fit the context of the song immensely. And it has to be kind of catchy, too.
Catchy in what sense?
In that, it's like, it's just, you can sing it. I mean, and it has to be dynamic, which is real important to me. The moods have to, like, shift along with the song.
I see.
And they have to build tension.
You have to build the tension.
Build tension.
Build tension,
Build
okay.
tension
Right.
within the solo and have to climax.
What's the best way to do that?
Well,
is it particular chords or,
Well, to play as closely to the chords as possible. Like, to stick with the scale.
Right.
And tightly with the scale, as tightly as possible.
Right.
And to just go out there with a gut feeling, too, that helps a lot.
Your gut feeling. Is it ever wrong?
Pardon?
Is your gut feeling ever wrong?
Well, if it is, that's when the tape gets erased and go again.
And start all over again.
Exactly, and that has happened before.
Oh, I can imagine. How about, like, playing the San Francisco scene as compared to, like, playing the LA scene? You said that you were on the showcase when you first started out, and that it kind of rejuvenated the whole feeling of playing.
Pardon? No?
When you guys were playing, you started out in the LA scene, didn't you?
That was before me.
Oh, that was before you. Right, because I remember James saying there was a lot of, like, the pretty boy and the fashion scene. But that's something we mentioned before, so we don't have to get into it again. But I do have a question for you. Advice for other guitarists.
Advice for other... Practice makes perfect.
Practice makes perfect.
Don't be musically prejudiced either.
Really?
This is just one thing. Don't put down another kind of music.
A lot of people, a lot of, like, our readers and stuff, guitar players, heavy metal people, it's like they feel it's only heavy metal or it's nothing.
That's not true.
Yeah.
No one in the band believes that either.
That's good.
Everyone in Metallica is very diverse in their musical taste. And that's one thing that shows through our music. We don't listen to just heavy metal, or else we would sound like every other band.
Right.
I mean, let's face it. Being musically prejudiced is cutting your own lifeline. I mean, because you're playing music, and all music is relative.
Right. I agree with that.
So I don't, not to be musically prejudiced and to practice.
Practice makes perfect.
Yeah,
and get a guitar.
Pay close attention to tone, musical tone too, is real important.
Right. What particular song do you think on Masters of Puppet do you think, like, best represents Metallica, or do you feel like there's something different in everything?
The entire first side.
Really? Entire first side?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. You sound like you really have it together. I think that's one of the most important elements here. Or at least appearing that you have it together. I don't know.
The band.
Yeah, the band overall. I mean, do you feel that way?
Well,
or are there, ups and downs?
We're in a position where we have to have it together, or else, we'll just get swept aside very, very easily, and that's happened way too many times. We're aware of that factor. So we make it a point to... Well, everyone naturally is, like, together in, their own ways.
Right.
And, like, it comes across.
How do you push each other? Like, are there ever, is there ever a point, like, one of the guys is not in a slump, or...
Well, the way we do it is we pressure each other, and we're not afraid to tell someone something sucks. And it's like a constant thing, too. Like, when something's not happening, you tell them.
Right.
And that's
you don't
how
lie.
we push each other, yeah. It's like, we all have to keep up with the level of just the level of musicianship. And we grow together.
Right. That's probably one of the most important things.
Yeah, we work real well together.
That's good, because I was going to say there must be problems like, on the road or whatever, when you're just going through this and getting accustomed to it as well.
Well, we're all extremely honest with each other, and we're a close band, too.
Right. That's great. Sounds really good. Are you guys psyched about the Ozzy? Are you playing New Haven with Ozzy this Thursday night?
We're playing New Haven this week.
Oh, boy. You excited?
Yeah.
That's great. How's it been? You've been with Ozzy, for how long now?
This is the 4th week now.
The 4th week.
Yeah.
Do you get sound checks and stuff?
We've gotten a couple now.
Yeah? How's it coming about? Do you feel a warm reception from, the audience?
The band is going over pretty well.
Yeah? Is it what you expected it to be, or?
Well, okay, let me put it like this.
Okay.
There's a percentage which is, our following. Who's come there to see Metallica.
Right.
And then there's a percentage who've come there to see Ozzy who have never heard of Metallica. And, with those people, we have to work. We have to work them. And, depending on the place, usually we're successful. And then there's a small percentage who's, the hardcore Ozzy fan who really doesn't know whether or not it's cool to like us or don't really understand where we're coming from or just simply closed-minded.
Yeah, that's it. They feel limited, like we were saying before.
Yeah.
It's like one type of music and that's one band and that's it.
Exactly. And if you can put all those three factors together, that's how we're going down.
Right. Well,
there's people that see us. There's people who are not there to see us, and then there's people who are winning over through the live.
Well, I'm going to be there Thursday night in New Haven, as a matter of fact.
Okay, make sure you come backstage.
So what time are you guys getting there? Do you get there what time's your show? 7:30 or something like that?
We get on stage at probably 7:30.
7:30. But they have a sound check about 4 or 5, I would think. Do you guys get there earlier or not?
We usually get there about 5.
Oh, okay.
5:30.
Well, that'd be good. If I have a chance, I'll go say hello.
Yeah, that'd be good.
And wish you the best of luck.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. And listen, thanks a lot for taking the time to talk to me.
Okay.
And
tell Lisa I said hi. She's a friend of mine.
Okay, we'll do. No problem.
And to Bruce, I talked to him once before.
Oh, okay, good.
Okay.
We'll do. Listen, take care of yourself.
Okay, Marie.
And have fun.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.